Okay, so some of the people bathing in this outrage culture truly must be viewing the world through hate-tinted lenses. Even when I try to look for the misogyny they speak of, I don't see it. It's not there. Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai here. Today I want to talk about two interesting reactions to the newly airing anime Fire Force. Apparently it's from the same creator as Soul Eater, and you can definitely tell by the art, but it's like the author wanted to create something that fits similar to the whole My Hero Academia craze, with some individuals having superpowers and such. Not a bad thing, it's pretty damn interesting, and there's a lot to work with. A group of firefighters use fire-based attacks to kill the violent remains of those who spontaneously combust. It's a world where you never know when the life you've built up for years could instantly come to an end without warning, horrifying your friends and family. There's a lot to be explored here, but as this video's title suggests, some are choosing to focus on other things. Now, I'll assume you guys know me a bit by now, at least my tastes in anime. Fire Force didn't really look like something I'd be interested in until I saw pictures of this girl, Tamaki Kotatsu, and suddenly I found the anime worth adding to my watch list. Given that this is a shonen, I'm certain she'll never hold the spotlight, but the least I could do is see what she's about. I've got an entire video about why I find these kinds of designs badass and empowering. Look forward to it. I thought she'd be bait for critics because, God forbid, she dressed down a bit when training with fire in a controlled setting. Turns out though, she hasn't even debuted in the anime yet, at least not at the time of this video's making. I'm anticipating the salt already. Nah, the issue is with one of the other female fighters, Maki. I'm not the first to cover this, but there's a writer on Twitter who is contracted to Crunchyroll, mind you, shaming people who happen to like this show, claiming it condemns women for wanting to be as competent as men, but makes it a recurring gag because it's well animated and looks cool. Actually, forgive me, they say it's not liking the show that makes you misogynistic, but praising it without addressing its sexist undercurrent where women are already framed as difficult to deal with or pathetic. They go on to spout feminist rhetoric that, while true, doesn't have anything to do with the show. Women already have to fight tooth and nail for comforts men have in the workplace, so maybe turning that into a gag and demeaning them isn't the best message to send to a young generation. I can only assume they're trying to address how the character Maki is handled in the show, particularly in response to episode 2. I was like, ah shit, here we go again, and sat down to watch the episode, only to be genuinely confused. There is no instance of men making a gag off of a woman trying to be as competent as a man. None of the women are framed as pathetic or difficult to deal with. I'll walk us through every moment in the episode a female is featured to prove it. Naturally, I'll only be addressing the subtitled version. I have no idea what Funimation will do to that script. The first time Maki shows up, she's on the roof with fellow firefighter Iris. Maki's practicing her ability to conjure adorable little fire familiars. Apparently, she's a second-generation fire soldier and can control flames to an extent, but not as well as the protagonist Shinra, who is a third generation. The statement here makes it clear that there are hereditary advantages some people have over others. Nothing sexist here, right? Moving on. Shinra and his rival Arthur bust through the door, taking their fight in front of the two girls. When Arthur introduces himself to Maki, he asks if she is the princess of the castle. Could this be the sexist bit? Shouldn't be. Arthur just introduced himself as a knight, so the princess bit is part of his theme. It's delivered in a chivalrous manner, not presuming she is in any way inferior. It's his way of saying she's a pretty lady, and you know what? She loves it, blushing and eyeing him like some kind of Prince Charming. Maki listens to Shinra as he explains that while Arthur is an idiot, he's still really popular. Lieutenant Hinawa comes to check on the ruckus, and as the hierarchy goes, everyone welcomes his entrance with piety. Hinawa is an oddball, being either very strict or surprisingly chill at a moment's notice. He's that way to everyone on his team. He eyes Maki's fire familiar and pours his drink on it to snuff it out. He then sternly affirms to Maki that fire soldiers don't play with fire. This has nothing to do with Maki's sex. Rather, while creating fireballs is one of her abilities, keeping them around as cute pets is frowned upon. Wanting to test the mettle of his new recruits, Hinawa has Maki take both Shinra and Arthur on at the same time. While Iris wonders if Maki can handle them, Hinawa expresses confidence based on the fact that Maki is an ex-soldier who knows how to destroy a man. That's some strong praise. Then look at her. Holy hell. She's got guns, son! Definitely a strong female character in a literal sense. She's confident and determined to kick some ass, which she does to both Shinra and Arthur. While she's dodging Arthur's plasma sword, which God knows what that would do to her if she were hit by it, he remarks that a knight such as himself can't do harm to a princess, implying he's holding back. Admittedly, Arthur is being sexist, but it can't possibly be what the Twitter post is referring to, as this pisses Maki off, and she brings him to his knees. She then knees him in the face, breaking his teeth. Holy shit! In retaliation, Arthur exclaims she's not a princess, but an ogre. Things get weird here. Does him calling her an ogre count as sexist? I'm pretty sure that's not a gendered term. Instead, it's a reaction to her ferocity, his admission that she's not to be underestimated. That said, Maki liked being called a princess, and instead takes his words and exaggerates them, interpreting it as if he were calling her a gorilla cyclops. That can be dismissed, as Arthur never said that. If anything, it shows that she has a personal complex about being perceived as, I don't know, butch in some way. In reality, Arthur's just being insubordinate and rude. He calls Shinra a devil and refuses to give proper courtesy to Hinawa, so she's definitely not being singled out. When Shinra hops back into the fight, Maki gives him a death stare, to which he responds, "How come you've got such an ogre-like look on your face? Is this sexist? No." That said, wouldn't it be sexist if a woman, through her own vanity, were somehow exempt from being called such a sexless term? He's saying she looks scary. That's it. Now, for a brief moment, Maki, in all her anger, actually does show a gorilla-like face, which, again, nobody called her but herself. Is this the gag? That she becomes gorilla-like when angry? Because she's letting her emotions get the better of her? That she's pissed while everyone else is chill? Probably, but it doesn't hold much weight. So she's a character who can be provoked by her own insecurities. So what? Is she being irrational? Not really. She's getting aggressive in the midst of a fight. So long as she can remain level-headed, her emotions aren't a problem. In fact, she channels this extra aggression to win the fight. She absorbs Shinra and Arthur's flames to generate a massive fireball, which is so intimidating that her opponents decide to admit defeat. Perhaps it's this moment when Hinawa likens Maki to a witch, and she's shown in a two-piece robe. I'd argue there isn't any misogyny here either. The term witch isn't being used as a gendered insult, but more a proud title that characterizes her flame powers. It's like Harry Potter logic. Wizards and witches are cool, so that can't be right. Lastly, Hinawa gets a water hose and puts out Maki's new familiar, which we know he's doing for the same reason as before. Neither Maki nor Iris have any major interactions for the rest of the episode. It's all this rooftop scene, and there's nothing misogynistic about it. All I see is either reverence or intimidation toward a woman's strength. But this Twitter handle isn't the only one criticizing the show. AnimeFeminist.com takes a jab at it too, claiming the anime reduces Maki and Iris down to little more than bodies for fan service. This one's harder to defend, so I guess I won't really. Instead, I'll say, so what? There's plenty of fan service to be had, sure, but it's not inherently demeaning. The opening scene has Maki rushing in, defending her team from a blast of fire. She's their defender. Sure, Shinra saves Iris, but she's not really a fighter in the strictest sense. Even so, there's no guarantee she wouldn't have been able to save herself. AniFem posts a screenshot of the girls taking a shower, citing it as just an excuse to show off TNA, as well as criticizing their conversation for not passing the Bechdel test. If you haven't heard of that term, since it's old-school feminism rhetoric, the Bechdel test judges a work's value as a feminist piece by whether or not it has two or more female characters holding a conversation about something other than a man. It's honestly a pretty stupid test that has lost its relevance, since all it really does is limit an artist's creativity. The shower scene is supposed to show that, despite Maki's strong body and demeanor, she has a soft side for fairy tale romance. Again, God forbid a woman actually ascribe to traditional femininity. It's the fact that women have a choice to conform to tradition or not that's important, not the actual decision a woman ultimately makes. So she's boy-obsessed. So what? Of course, there's the complaint about it being a shower scene, period, but I just see it as an intimate slice-of-life moment. It's biased, sure. The guys don't get shower scenes, but that's par for the course with shonen. What matters is that the scene does not demean the women in any way. There's some more exposure when Maki adjusts Shinra's pant sleeves, and he gets a nicely angled view of her. This scene establishes that, while he respects Maki as a superior and member of his team, he has sexual thoughts, even if he doesn't act on them. Funnily enough, he remarks to himself, not about her jugs, but her smell. Now, if you're going to shame a show for establishing that one of its characters likes attractive women, then BTFO. Like, seriously. When Anifem chooses to isolate and focus on these moments, they are ignoring the other moments in the show where these women really shine. Whenever it's time to head out on a mission, everyone's covered from head to toe in thick jackets. It's sometimes hard to tell who's who. You'd think this would be a social justice dream come true, but as many have said, there will always be something to complain about, and I look forward to the outrage that storms over this. Whoo boy! Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and most of all, smashing that notification bell as if it were your waifu. That way you'll never miss out on all of my anime content, lore videos, live streams, and Holy Waifu Wars polls. My vids are struggling to get featured, so that bell is absolutely critical. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon, or consider donating via Super Chat. And as always, celebrate your fandom.